Sarah Collins balanced 3 plates on her arm when a glass slipped from the tray and shattered across the diner floor. The whole room went silent. Before she could bend to clean it, her manager, Mark Reynolds, stormed over and slapped her across the face in front of everyone. Customers gasped. A coworker froze, and someone pulled out a phone to record. Sarah's cheeks burned, but she kept moving because she needed this job to pay her bills. What happened next will expose secrets no one in that diner expected. Sarah Collins lived a simple routine in Dayton, Ohio. Every morning she brewed cheap coffee, packed her sister's school lunch, and walked to her job at the diner. She never complained about long hours or aching feet because the paycheck meant her younger sister could stay focused on school instead of worrying about money. Sarah valued patience and respect, carrying herself with quiet dignity even on bad days. Customers often left impressed by her kindness, but that same patience was about to be tested in ways she never imagined. The slap still burned on Sarah's cheek hours later. She had endured rude comments from customers before, but being struck by her manager in front of a packed diner was different. It went against everything her parents taught her. Problems should be handled with respect, never violence. On her walk home, she thought about filing a complaint, but fear weighed heavier than anger. Without this job, rent would fall behind, and her sister's future would slip further away. Sarah faced a choice no one should have to make: silence or survival. Mark Reynolds had run the diner for years, and his reputation was built on intimidation. To customers, he played the part of a friendly host, smiling as he walked the floor. But to his staff, he was known for cutting corners, snapping at mistakes, and ruling with fear. Most workers stayed quiet because they needed the paycheck as badly as Sarah did. His authority went unchallenged, which only fed his temper. After the slap, Mark carried on like nothing had happened, daring anyone to speak up. That silence made Sarah's situation even heavier. By the next morning, the diner buzzed with whispers. A short clip of the slap had leaked online, filmed by a customer at table 6. The video showed Sarah dropping the glass, Mark storming over, and the strike that froze the entire room. Strangers on the internet began arguing in the comments, some furious at Mark, others questioning why Sarah stayed. Inside the diner, co-workers avoided eye contact, pretending nothing was different. Mark smirked as if the attention didn't matter, but Sarah could feel eyes on her with every step she took. That afternoon, a regular customer named Mr. Hayes quietly pulled Sarah aside. He told her he had seen everything and that the video was spreading fast. "People won't stay quiet about this," he said, his voice steady. Sarah nodded, though her stomach twisted. She hadn't even watched the clip herself, too afraid of reliving the moment. But if strangers online were already sharing it, then silence might not be possible anymore. Mr. Hayes's words lingered as she cleared tables. Was the video her greatest risk, or the only chance she had? Later that evening, Sarah stepped into the kitchen to grab silverware when Mark cornered her. His smile was gone, replaced by a low threat. He warned her not to cause drama about what happened. If she spoke to anyone, management, reporters, or lawyers, she'd be out of a job by morning. Sarah froze, the weight of her sister's schoolbooks and unpaid bills pressing on her chest. Mark's confidence made it clear he believed she had no power. She walked back to the floor shaken, realizing silence was no longer just painful, it was dangerous. When Sarah showed up for her next shift, she hoped to blend into the routine. Instead, Mark singled her out the moment she clocked in. He raised his voice in front of the staff, mocking her for being clumsy and warning everyone not to follow her example. The room fell silent while her coworkers kept their eyes down. Sarah felt humiliation tighten around her throat, but she didn't answer back. The test was clear. Mark wanted to break her spirit completely. Each word echoed louder than the slap itself. That night, Sarah confided in a coworker she trusted, hoping for advice. She whispered about maybe contacting corporate, just to protect herself. By the next morning, Mark already knew. Her coworker had told him everything, twisting her words into a threat of lawsuit. Mark's glare across the diner made her blood run cold. She realized even the people she thought might stand by her were more afraid of losing their jobs than telling the truth. Betrayal cut sharper than his slap, leaving Sarah with no allies in a place she gave everything to. Exhausted and cornered, Sarah sat at her kitchen table late that night, with a resignation note half-written. Walking away seemed like the only way to end the nightmare. She imagined turning in her apron, slipping quietly into another job, and leaving the memory of Mark's hand behind her. For a brief moment, quitting felt like control. But as she folded the paper, her phone buzzed with notifications. The video had exploded online overnight, drawing thousands of views. The problem wasn't shrinking, it was spreading wider than Sarah ever expected. By morning, Sarah's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. The video of the slap wasn't just viral, it had been picked up by local news. Anchors replayed the clip, and suddenly the story wasn't just about her humiliation. Sharp-eyed viewers noticed more in the background: unsanitary kitchen conditions, expired food stacked in plain sight, and Mark berating another server. The slap had exposed more than his temper. It revealed the way he ran the diner. Calls for investigation poured in, and complaints flooded corporate offices. Mark's secret wasn't safe anymore, and Sarah's silence was no longer possible. The diner, once packed with regulars, now sat half-empty. Health inspectors arrived unannounced, clipboards in hand, citing violations caught on the viral footage. Mark tried to shift blame onto Sarah, claiming she was careless and dishonest. But his staff, tired of years under his control, finally spoke up. One after another, they described the shortcuts, the threats, and the culture of fear. Mark's confidence began to crack. For the first time, Sarah wasn't the one on the defensive. The balance of power in the diner shifted right in front of everyone. With reporters outside and inspectors inside, Sarah faced a decision. She could stay quiet, letting others speak, or she could finally step forward. Heart pounding, she calmly explained what happened that day and how Mark had treated staff for years. She didn't raise her voice, but her steady words carried weight. Cameras caught her honesty, and for the first time, the humiliation of the slap no longer defined her. Instead, she became the voice of everyone who had stayed silent. It was the moment Sarah chose dignity over fear. By the weekend, the diner was packed again, but not with customers. Protesters held signs outside, chanting for Mark's removal. Inside, angry patrons demanded refunds and shouted for answers. Corporate supervisors arrived, stone-faced, as Mark scrambled to defend himself. But every excuse was drowned out by evidence, videos, testimonies, and Sarah's steady account. The same crowd that once watched in silence now demanded justice. Mark, who once ruled with fear, was forced to face the humiliation he had inflicted on others. His downfall unfolded in the very place he thought he controlled. After Mark was removed, the diner felt different. Co-workers who once kept their heads down finally thanked Sarah for speaking up. Customers stopped her on the street, offering encouragement and even job leads. The quiet regular, Mr. Hayes, told her he was proud she didn't let fear win. For the first time in years, the staff laughed during their shift without bracing for his temper. The ripple reached beyond the diner. Other employees in town started sharing their own stories. Sarah's courage cracked the silence more than anyone expected. On her day off, Sarah walked her younger sister home from school, the autumn air cool against her skin. For once, she wasn't weighed down by fear of losing her job. Bills still needed paying, and life was far from easy, but something inside her had shifted. She no longer carried shame from that moment in the diner, only proof that even one broken glass could expose the truth. Sarah glanced at her sister, who smiled proudly back. If this story has touched your heart, please consider subscribing. Your support truly means the world to us.